Recently, my newsfeed has been full of analysis from every angle on Chase's changes to the Sapphire Reserve card. Every perspective except the psychology and systems thinking approach to evaluate the new perks, the 45% annual fee hike, and why this might be an even bigger problem for the world's largest credit card company. So it's time to give CSR the overthinker treatment. When credit cards were fun. I'm a huge credit card nerd. I've been in the points game for over a decade, and it's enabled some absolutely baller travel for me and my wife. That includes one of my greatest moments in life. A few years ago, we were flying business class from LAX to Vienna, thanks to points, of course. Just after boarding, we both had champagne and a lovely dish of warm nuts. Just then, a group of high schoolers boarded and passed through the premium cabin, with one girl loudly sighing out loud, "Ugh, I'm so jealous of these rich people." Naturally, my wife and I clinked glasses across the aisle in a not-so-silent triumph. Never in my life have I earned the envy or appeal of high school girls, aside from the one who married me. Wait, that sounded wrong. I was younger than her. Never mind. To be clear, we were not rich. But as the household's self-appointed travel and credit card CFO with a borderline unhealthy obsession with points optimization, there we were, ready to enjoy a nearly 12-hour flight in our lay-flat seats with unlimited booze and gourmet food. Flights for that trip retailed at over $10,000, which we booked for a fraction of the cost using Chase Ultimate Rewards and some strategic partner transfers. I've been a Chase loyalist and evangelist for years, and was one of the very first to sign up for the original Sapphire Reserve the day it launched almost a decade ago. Even with the initial $450 annual fee, which was later bumped to $550, it was a no-brainer. The value is obvious between the bonus points categories, priority pass lounge access, travel protections, and transfer partners that aligned with our travel habits. It was a no-brainer until now. The coupon book problem. Now, Chase is going the way of the coupon book. If you're not familiar with this model for premium credit cards, here's how it works. You pay a steep upfront annual fee, and in return, the card issuer gives you a bunch of credits, often broken into little bits, that you could use with specific merchant partners. Think of it as a luxury version of those old school fundraiser coupon books. Except instead of half off at your local Applebee's, you get a $15 credit to spend at Dunkin', Lyft, Apple TV, or DoorDash. This approach has long been the American Express Platinum's playbook. It's theoretically a great value. Stack up all the credits, and the total value can easily exceed the annual fee. But as Admiral Akbar would say, "It's a trap!" If the credits are for stuff that you wouldn't normally buy, or it requires a shift in behavior, then you've potentially already lost. Behavioral pitfall number 1. You start spending money you wouldn't have spent just to feel like you're getting value. It becomes a false obligation. I mean, you're losing money by not shopping there, right? To win at credit card points, your spending should provide value. You shouldn't need to spend to create value. With the upcoming revamp, Chase has gone full coupon book with the Sapphire Reserve, and that's where value begins to fall apart. Let's take just one example, the $300 DoorDash credit. On the surface, that sounds great. However, it's divided into $25 per month allocations, and even then it's segmented further into 3 specific types, $5 a month for food, and 2 separate $10 for groceries and retail. The problem for us is we barely use DoorDash anymore, we never use it for non-food orders, and the idea of breaking up purchases into weird monthly categories just to grab the credit is the opposite of financial simplicity. It also potentially incurs higher fees and the expected tip that also erodes perceived value. Plus, there's no carryover month to month. It's use it or lose it. The next behavioral pitfall, you start bending your life around your card benefits instead of the other way around. Worst of all, you're spending $795 upfront for the privilege of these future benefits. This means it already feels like you're in the hole trying to claw your way back to even. There's an economic effect here too, as this isn't just sunk cost fallacy, but a time value of money problem. You've front-loaded an expense in exchange for a year-long scavenger hunt. Is that really the best use of your money or attention? To be clear, this isn't a minor tweak. It's a total shift in how value is delivered, away from seamless utility towards conditional redemption. And for someone who's built their travel system around optimization and simplicity, it's a major red flag. Quick sidebar: the rule of redemption friction. If it takes a spreadsheet to justify your credit card, it's probably not worth it. This is a core principle of overthinker finance. The more mental gymnastics required to extract value from your perks, the more likely that you're either to overspend just to get your money's worth, miss redemptions entirely because life gets busy, particularly if you banked 100% redemption success to justify the original annual fee, or it's a waste of time that you could have spent living your life. The actual value is finding a credit card that aligns with your existing behavior, not one that demands you become a part-time accountant just to break even. A credit card should work for you. You shouldn't stress out about working for the card to earn a return on your original annual fee investment. An opt-out moment. Here's why this may be an even bigger problem for Chase. They triggered what I call an opt-out moment. It's a psychological tipping point where inertia breaks and you reassess a previously automatic decision. As humans, we coast most of the time. If my Substack discusses anything, it's the energy it takes to think. Smart retailers and businesses know this, and it's the reason so many things come with automatically renewing subscriptions. Once something becomes our default, it takes energy and effort to change it. It's economic inertia based on universal human laziness. However, if the business changes the deal enough to exceed the energy required to review the offering, it risks turning off the autopilot. You introduce doubt. And that's what happened here. Chase didn't just increase my annual fee, they fundamentally changed the value proposition. What was once simple and aligned with my life is now complex, fragmented, and built around behaviors that I actively avoid. Suddenly, I'm asking questions I hadn't in years. Is Chase still my best option? Do these perks align with who I am and how I spend? And what would it take to switch systems completely? This is the risk with tinkering too hard with a legacy product, especially one tied to loyalty. You risk reactivating their critical thinking. Default bias in the wild. Psychologists call this default bias, a tendency to stick with preset options even when alternatives might be better, especially when switching feels like effort. Opt-out moments disrupt that illusion of convenience. Think of it as mental escape velocity. The bigger the shakeup, the more likely someone breaks orbit. It's the same reason some people stay in underwhelming jobs, unsatisfying bank accounts, or overpriced streaming packages. The mental cost of change feels too high until something pushes them over the edge. And Chase just pushed me. I've been a loyal credit card and banking customer for years. I really liked being a CSR OG, but they disrupted my value proposition of the linchpin offering. Behavioral lessons for businesses. I'll admit that my threshold for overthinking something is lower than most. Even without the annual fee increase, I would have done the math on the coupon book. But if you mess with my monies, I'm going into spreadsheet mode, and that's generally bad for Chase. Momentum versus disruption. Smart businesses understand that default loyalty is a powerful force. Once someone's in your system, whether it's a product, platform, or policy, the inertia of staying put often does more work than your marketing team ever could. But when you shake things up, you risk breaking that spell. Whether it's credit cards, software subscriptions, or gym memberships, the same truth applies. Every disruption is a potential opt-out moment. When you nudge a price or perk, ensure you're not accidentally nudging your customer or employee out the door. If the nudge exceeds their threshold for evaluation, you risk losing a loyal customer. This is why the business math isn't just the change in profitability versus the previous offering. It's the cost of customer acquisition and lost lifetime value walking out the door. Particularly once someone is in your ecosystem and then you lose them, the cost to earn them back is even higher. Loss leader versus lifetime value. Sapphire Reserve may have been a money loser for Chase in isolation. That's fine. Loss leaders are a legitimate strategy. When they launched Sapphire Reserve, they absolutely nailed positioning to attract young, high future value clients, disrupting American Express's hold on the premium credit card space. Even with the high initial acquisition cost of free bonus points, they were targeting up-and-comers with a strong offering that sucked you into the overall Chase ecosystem. It's potentially embarrassing, but since they launched the card, Chase has likely racked up over $30,000 in credit card transaction fees from us. But it wasn't just credit cards. With my growing relationship with the bank, I opened a checking and savings account with them, enrolled in their private client program, and have repeatedly used Chase's travel portal for hotel and flight redemptions. By disrupting the card, they put an entire multi-product relationship in jeopardy. And from a business standpoint, that's dangerous unless you've carefully calculated your customer lifetime value across that entire portfolio. You don't kill your loss leader without knowing what it was leading to. This approach is critical to systems thinking. Sapphire Reserve wasn't just a single product. It was central to an overall customer relationship that had just undergone significant disruption. Parallels in employee retention. Let's extend this beyond a customer story and see how this is also a case study in talent management. Employees, like customers, operate under momentum and defaults. The default is to stay. Disruption triggers reassessment. So when companies cut benefits, restructure teams, or reimagine their culture, they often forget that what feels like a spreadsheet optimization in HR can activate a wave of emotional opt-out moments among employees. What sounds perfectly clear in the boardroom may lose significant luster as it plays the game of telephone down to your frontline employees. It's not a question of, are the new benefits better than the old ones? It's, are they better than what I could get somewhere else? A slight perceived downgrade in a key benefit can trigger a full-scale reevaluation, especially when identity, loyalty, or status is involved. I lived this in my corporate life when Clorox began reimagining its benefits program. 1,000 tiny cuts caused me to reflect on our overall relationship and value proposition. While it wasn't one moment, I will say that in reflection, the change from a years of service-based vacation program to now everyone has unlimited vacation was the start of my reevaluation process. I'm sure I'll cover this again at some point, as I also feel unlimited vacation is a trap. No decision happens in isolation. If someone thinks my decision is between the old Sapphire Reserve and the new Sapphire Reserve, they're missing the point. That decision is off the table. Keeping the old Sapphire Reserve isn't an option. There is no control group. The old product is gone. The real question is this: is this new Sapphire Reserve the best option for me among all available alternatives right now? This is another commonly made mistake. People often falsely compare what they have to what they had previously. That's incorrect. Just like the Sapphire Reserve, you can't pass and just stay with the previous offering. It's now a broader decision set of all other available choices. The jobs to be done shift. From a jobs to be done perspective, I'm not hiring a credit card to give me coupons. I'm hiring it to enable efficient value extraction from my everyday spending, fund aspirational travel through optimized point redemptions, and simplify complexity and reduce cognitive load. In the words of Clay Christensen, customers hire products to do a job, and when they find something that does the job better, faster, or cheaper, they'll switch regardless of loyalty. In this case, my loyalty came into question, and I analyzed better, faster, and cheaper options to maximize value from my spending. I'm not evaluating Chase against its past performance. I'm holding open tryouts against a vast talent pool. Maybe you're not the target customer. There's one other perspective here. While I assess the CSR changes and find them no longer aligning with my needs, there's also the possibility that Chase wanted to get rid of me. While I say this is unlikely, There is a possibility that in trying to balance their books, Chase is using this moment to dump value optimizers and focus more on autopilot consumers. When a product looks like a bad offering to you, there's a strong chance that it's a good offering to someone else and you're just no longer their target. I'll place a ultimate rewards point bet that this isn't the case here, and the CSR revamp tries to push cost more onto its partners. I still struggle to comprehend the customer segmentation that spends over $75,000 a year annually on the CSR and desires Southwest A-list or IHG status. Maybe I'm falsely profiling, but if you're dropping nearly six figures on this one card, are you really that excited to fly Southwest or stay at a Holiday Inn? But maybe that's just me. The same issue manifests in return to office policies, where organizations have used policy shift to cause an opt-out moment when you are no longer the target employee for this job. This becomes shadow downsizing without severance expenses. The issue with the CSR change and RTO policies is that you lose control of who opts out. While these disruptions may cause individuals to move to the door, you leave it to the individual to assess the value proposition and whether they take their loyalty elsewhere. What's next? Chase had something most businesses dream of: default status. Their system was embedded in my financial behavior: cards, bank accounts, loyalty point strategies, app familiarity, and a decade of annual fee payments. They had me, and I'm not easy to win back. Once I break my system and reconfigure my financial infrastructure, someone else becomes the new default. To use one of my wife's favorite quotes, "My good opinion once lost is lost forever." Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. It's not going to be enough to get back to neutral. Chase will have to do something spectacular, like the original CSR launch, to earn me back. Thanks so much for overthinking with me, and I'd love to hear your comments. What default in your life is quietly draining value? And what would it take for you to break orbit? Until next time, cheers.